Welcome to the LA Business Podcast, a forum for business owners and senior executives to share the experiences about the elements that drive their success. Your host is Robert Brill, CEO of Brill Media.co.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the LA Business Podcast. Today our guest is Jeff Prest, area representative of Firehouse Subs. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having me.
So tell us about Firehouse Subs and what you do as an area representative for Firehouse.
So Firehouse Subs is nationwide, about 1,175 restaurants now in 45 different states, 3 different territories. Puerto Rico's got 13 locations, so we're all over. Really what I do is we run and oversee the Southern California market. And what our role is to help franchisees develop restaurants all over Southern California and to help them with their operations and develop and open up restaurants and franchise the brand. We've been with Firehouse Subs now since late 2011, started developing in early 2012.
So you're representing the franchisor.
Correct. So we're in between the franchisee and the franchisor. So what the franchisor basically has hired us to do is to run the territory and run the brand out here for Southern California.
So are you an independent company? Like, I'm trying to understand the relationship, and it will go into the growth stories. I'm just trying to understand who you are in this equation.
Yeah. So the role that we have in our company is, so we have a company that we own that owns and oversees the territory. And we have a company that owns and operates a training location. So Firehouse Subs has basically hired us, and they found us, back in 2011. And they have us run all of their business operations here in the market. So we own a location in Southern California as well that acts as a training facility and acts as a facility to sell the brand. And Firehouse employs us and says, okay, hey, your role is to run and oversee the company out here in Southern California. So we have the ability to interview the franchisees and select the franchisees that come into the system. We assist them with how many locations that they're going to open and the territories that they're going to own. We get contracts from our headquarters for them to sign for their franchise agreements. We then help them with connecting up with brokers, with real estate, on finding locations. We assist them with negotiating their lease for their locations that they're getting. We then step into a construction standpoint where we work with the architects and design with getting their restaurants ready to go for permitting. We oversee their construction. Then we also, at our facility, which is in Valencia, California, we will train the franchisees. So they will be there for 6 to 8 weeks for training, where our team will teach them how to run the business and operate the franchise. We bring a team out to their restaurants and teach all their new employees and themselves how to open their restaurant up. And then as they're open, we assist them for as long as they're in the system, whether it's marketing or advertising. We will audit the restaurants for compliancy and operations. We assist them with anything under the sun, from doing direct marketing to managing their costs on their P&Ls and their balance sheets to investment spending for opening up other locations. And then as the brand is developing and growing, we assist them with implementing anything that's new that's in the market that needs to get rolled out, whether it's new menus or design, or implementing getting new restaurants open, or new looks of restaurants. We basically do everything out here for the franchisor in Southern California.
So I'm curious, there's a lot of places I want to go with this. So let me ask you first, what are your business metrics? Like, I'm not talking about Firehouse, and I'm not talking about the franchisee, but your organization. How are you judged on success?
So we have a certain number of restaurants that we have to open, within a time frame. So our goal is to get as many restaurant locations open to help grow the brand, and saturate the market so that way, we penetrate into a market and the brand had recognition, it can grow. So that way, as brands start in the infancy stage, they don't have that brand recognition unless you've got that, one-off location that's been someplace for 30 years that everybody knows around the corner. But when you're talking about national brand presence, our job is to bring in and recruit as many franchisees as we can, and bring in the best possible people. And we're measured on the success of the operations, on how well the franchisees do, and also the number of restaurants that we're growing, and also the brand recognition in the market. So there's a lot of factors. Basically, it's running the company out here as this brand in Southern California.
So how do you ensure that brand recognition in the marketplace works, right? Are you doing actual marketing for Firehouse, or are you like pushing out the franchisees so that they do the marketing? Like that's fascinating.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So there's national marketing that we have where the franchisees is part of the system with royalties and marketing fees. All of that money goes into, for lack of a better word, one big pot. And our brand headquarters has an amazing team, marketing team that utilizes their resources and companies to help advertise nationally. Whether it's on television or radio or local paid search or social media, there's national brand marketing that goes out. Now, on the local level, our job is to help the franchisees penetrate their market with local advertising. So we assist the franchisees with ways that they can grow their business, whether it be a Facebook advertising or utilizing third-party platforms, direct marketing with mail or billboards, whatever it may be, that helps them, that they can spend on their own to help drive their own business in their own territories that they're working. And there are many times where groups of franchisees, we assist them on getting together to advertise in a market or an area that they're trying to grow and get together, kind of utilize the resources. So it's on a national level that's set up for all franchisees in the system, where there's marketing platforms that get deployed throughout the year. And then there's the local marketing that we assist them with for each individual restaurant. So that way they have the ability to grow their own restaurant.
And what do you see works? I don't want anything that you can't share, but like general trends in marketing for Firehouse.
So, when you look at changes in marketing, I think the traditional marketing pieces of television and radio are still there. But we've definitely seen a rise in a lot of social media aspects. There's changes in the ways that people are looking at advertising now. So whether it be on YouTube TV or Netflix, those are different vehicles that we see that are starting to work, along with the popular Facebook advertising or social media, the third-party trends that are going up with an Uber Eats or a Grubhub. All those different platforms are starting to come into play more and more, where traditionally it used to be advertise on TV and advertise on radio. The other aspects that work very nicely, with billboard recognition or with direct mail into people's homes or into people's businesses, those are still very impactful. But I think you're seeing more of a rise of the social media component or connected TV that's really taking a whole different area of advertising for market penetration.
I think local connected TV is fascinating. Like I'm watching the Dodgers on MLB TV and other apps, and I love it when I see like local businesses advertise, because those are the few and far individual business owners who have understood and captured the value of connected television advertising. I mean, it's like the power of it is insane. Like you get to use the same data that is deployed for banners and Facebook ads and run it on the biggest screen in the household. It's narrowcasting in an addressable way that's scalable.
Well, and it helps on the cost too when you're doing local. If you're dealing with a local provider like Spectrum and you're just going to your targeted area, it's much more affordable than trying to do something on a larger scale.
Absolutely. So when you bring in a new franchisee, what are the top like 5 things that you share with him or her that make them a success? What should someone know who's interested in becoming a franchisee know in general about being a franchisee, or in specificity about Firehouse subs? Like,
Well,
how do you like the sub? And I'll go. I'm so sorry. I'll
no.
go a step further. Are there things that you see and that people will say to you, and you're like, "Oh, you're not the right person for this"?
So we have an interesting process that we go through. It's very detailed that helps the franchisee understand, the qualifications of becoming a franchisee and really if it's right for them. So, one of the things that we say to a lot of our franchisees that are looking into franchising is, do your research and compare. So part of becoming a franchisee with Firehouse is the love for the brand. I love what Firehouse does. I love the product. I am behind what this organization is doing 100%, and that's a critical piece, that we look for when any franchisee is coming into the market. We also really enjoy when we have our operators that are owner operators and that they're involved in they're involved in the systems and the operations and running the restaurants. It's a key factor for any successful business to have the owners and the operators really involved and hands-on and working with their restaurants and their employees. But the research process, I think, is the best thing that franchisees do when coming into our system, and then comparing, because they're doing their analysis on what business model is best for them. And we're doing our analysis to make sure that the franchisee is a good fit for us. So, in our interview processes, in our approval processes, we have them meet with us multiple times. They're gathering information from us. We're gathering information from them. We're looking at ownership structure. We're looking capital. We look at what their visions are, what their growth plans are. They get a chance to meet and interview with our leadership team. They get a chance to interview and meet with them as well too. They get a chance to go, it's called to a day of discovery, where it's a day long of getting information about our brand. They also get an opportunity to work in our training restaurant for a week and get a chance to actually work there and see and feel what it's like within our system. So what we look for in a franchisee, and what for a franchisee is looking for in a company, we're looking for that match. And the nice thing about our process and system is that it allows both sides to be able to do the qualities mix. The key pieces, I think, on franchising for people and looking at is, one, is the brand right for me? Am I going to support the product? Two, do I have the capital to be able to invest and move forward? And do I have the operational and infrastructure to be able to be successful, in this type of brand, whether it's a restaurant or some sort of retail, in opening up my own business or opening up a franchise? Do I have the ability to move forward?
Does it make sense for someone to franchise one store, or is it better for like 2 plus 5 plus?
It depends on the model, and it depends on the vision of the individual. And then, capital plays into it as well too. So there are many people that we speak to and have worked with where, they've worked in careers, they've worked in corporate America for years, and they absolutely are just thrilled with the opportunity to be able to work for themselves and to be their own bosses. And that is so rewarding for people because they can control their own destiny. They are in charge of themselves. They want to report to themselves and hold themselves accountable. So, having one unit can work. And it's also what the financial goals are. Some people, when they take a look at, what are their earning potentials or what are their replacement incomes that are coming from corporate America or salaries that they had before. So that's a very, very good thing that they're doing. And it's a very rewarding piece of it that a lot of franchisees are very, very encouraged by. Now, we have a number of franchisees that are very interested in doing multi-unit operations with franchising. And if you have the ability, it's encouraged because, if they do their analysis and they say, hey, great, I can make X number of dollars on one location and X number of dollars on another and another, if they have the means and the ability and they have the infrastructure and they have the know-how, it can be very successful. So it can definitely work on both ends. I think a lot of it has to do with what are the needs of the family and the franchisee, and what are the goals, and then do they have the means to get to where they want to.
So if I become a franchisee, does that automatically mean that I'm going to end up working in the store, or like do the economics? Like, is it possible for a person to be a franchisee and just be like, all right, I'm going to hire out every job in the store, and I'm going to manage 5 stores? Is
I
that like,
think, yeah, and I think that's the decision of each operator and how they want to run their business. We encourage, hands-on operations for our operators to be in the business to help it be successful. The success and the ability of being able to manage and own your own business is really on the franchisee. It's really about them and what they can manage. So if they have the ability to drive their restaurant and sales and put it into a position where they can hire in managers to run it, and then they become, for lack of a better word, a district manager, or a chief operating officer over their business, and they're managing their managers that are running the business. I mean, that's the goal of multi-unit operations. So, we have many operators in the system that do that, where they are overseeing their managers running their units. We have many, franchisees that are in the units every day working as well too, getting their hands dirty, and they're running the operations, and they're doing it every day with their employees. So it can work on both ends.
so as a franchisee, I imagine how much of your effort as a franchisee is going into, for lack of a better term, the supply chain management, right? Like, I need the bread, I need the meat, I need the cheese, I need all the things that are coming in. How much of that effort is managed by the franchisee, and how much of that, like, if I think, like, I'll actually take a step back. One of the things that's interesting to me is, like, holy cow, I need all the supplies, I need people in the store, I need the cash liquidity on a daily basis, which is a thing you've got to think about. I also need marketing. Like, I know marketing, and I know how difficult it is and how intensive it is. Now, to add to that, acquisition of bread, like, blows my mind, right? How does a franchisee, like, manage all these things? And I imagine you're a big part of that.
So the neat thing about being part of a national brand is that all of the systems are set up for you. So when a franchisee looks at, or a candidate looks at being a franchisee, part of what we always hear is, what, I want to work for myself, but I love having the systems in place that a franchisor has or a national brand has. So we have the main suppliers already set up for distribution of food. We have all of the design component manuals on building the locations. So the playbook's written. The franchisee coming into our system, the beauty of it is they just get to follow the playbook. So to answer your question on I need bread, well, there is a national chain, company that we use all over the US that distributes our food for us. So the franchisee, we have systems for them to order, a couple times a week to get all their product in. They don't have to think about where is it going to come. We have a huge team back at our headquarters that's in charge of all price negotiations and doing all the contracts and getting the food in where it needs to go so that all the restaurants are taken care of. So all the high level things that you would go, how do I get this set up? You don't need to worry about it. From a credit card processing company to, what back office computer systems you're going to use to help analyze costs, to getting your food, it's all set up for you from the franchisor with their departments. And we have the ability of taking those tools and deploying them in and getting them to the franchisee. So they just follow the playbook.
I imagine the last few months have been particularly difficult for everyone in the food service business. You have COVID, you have states that are opening and closing, you have a variety of just challenges that you can't predict for, and every couple of weeks something is changing. How do you manage the challenges of COVID-19 and how are your franchisees managing that process?
So with what everybody's been experiencing and going through, I think every brand and every location has had their challenges. So, in these times, when you talk about going back into the beginning when everything started, I think there was a lot of uncertainty and unknown, a lot of panic, and where do we go from here? So our role really was to help implement systems for people to follow to deal with the ever-changing challenges that we were all faced with. So we became into a support role. We became into a compliance. We were, learning different ordinances and different cities and counties restrictions as things come up and the ever changing information that was coming out. So our role heavily was gathering information and educating, whether it was teaching people how to manage with, social distancing inside the restaurant, to assisting them with getting PPP loans. We were really on the educator side, the research, and providing information to everybody. So as things changed or as things came out, our job was to get the information to them so they could learn and prepare how to run their businesses. Because not only are they running their businesses day to day and the ever-changing flow of a customer or the expectation of a guest, or how things are supposed to be run by city and county ordinances, it's overwhelming. And our job was to help relax the franchisees, help give them direction, help give them structure, help answer questions, and help educate on what are the next steps.
I mean, it's almost like you have to have a legal compliance team unique per state or county. Like, how do you? I don't know how big your organization, how big Firehouse Subs is, but I imagine it's not built to be a legal compliance organization.
Well,
right?
we do have a phenomenal quality assurance team that I can tell you, as any city or county ordinance that has been updated, went into our quality assurance department and they would scrub it thoroughly. And then they would provide us guidance as well, too, along with what we would learn on, hey, this is the direction that we need to follow. And it would be our job to get it out to our restaurants in those cities or counties to say, hey, this is what you need to follow. This is what you need to do. So really, in running the company out here, we're responsible to try and stay on top of all the information that's coming in. So I have a business partner that we share responsibilities on. And we would divide and conquer on information that's coming in, make sure that it's accurate, with our quality assurance department at our headquarters, and then get it out to our system to make sure that they're following the rules and compliancy. So it became another full-time job. And many times you didn't know things changed. And so as you got the information, you got it out as quick as you could. But, it's not been easy for any brand, any city, or any ordinance that has come out to help the system. But, learning what you need to do and what you can and can't do has been a challenge. But we've been developing different checks and balances with the assistance of our headquarter experts and what we're doing here in the field to try and help the franchisees be successful.
What's interesting to me that it kind of like just dawned on me, one of the big challenges that Facebook has is that Facebook usually never rolls out any information about their new products and services and capabilities. And literally from one day to the next, we just see a change in the ad buying platform for Facebook. And it feels like the PPP loan, the rules and regulations, I feel like I get most of my information on any of that stuff from like LA Business Journal, the press, right? And you're like, and YouTube. And I'm like, and my CPA, and my CPA is like, refer to this other legal group who no one has any affiliation with. It's like there is no, and it's a fast moving situation. It's continuously changing, and anyone who's in business right now better love the process, because this is the process. It's figuring out challenges with little or no guidance, or guidance that continuously changes. But it's interesting that the government at this point and the loan structure at this point is basically like, we'll figure it out, which we've been dealing with for a decade, buying ads on Facebook. We'll figure it out. It changes all the time. It's a fascinating moment. Do you see any opportunities here? Because I fully believe, I know that people are making fortunes right now, and people's lives are changing. And some of them, certainly, there's a contingent of people all across this country who are going to have dire straits because of job losses and business challenges and skill sets that are dramatically changing. Thinking just in a very simple way, like teachers who don't know how to use Zoom and are like, I don't want to know, I don't want to learn how to use Zoom, so I'm teaching a classroom. Like, those people are going to be challenged. But on the flip side, I believe that there are people, organizations, companies, whatever, who are going to take this moment and catapult 5 years from now, we're going to be hearing stories of people and organizations and companies who just came out of the woodwork and are some of the biggest companies that exist in the marketplace right now. All that is to say, what opportunities do you see in this marketplace? And how does it relate to Firehouse subs or unrelated to Firehouse subs?
Well, I think in this category of food, one of the things that we've noticed is the change of habits as customers. So when you look at the world that they say is the new norm, what we've noticed in the restaurant industry is, we don't know what the new norm is yet. We don't know what's happening. So as far as opportunity, I think it's presented a number of different vehicles and directions that the restaurant industry can go, in looking at, opportunity for growth, whether it be the market of third party with Grubhub and Uber Eats, or, looking at how much the change of society has driven in through takeout ordering, opening up, curbside delivery and, online ordering. All of the vehicles that have been there in the past are now being used more than ever. And you even see, areas where, online ordering, where it used to be maybe a smaller portion of the business and that was there, where dine-in was so strong, especially in our brand, it's changed. So I think the opportunities on growth for companies that can evolve with the changing new norms today of what that looks like, I think there's advantages of looking at how the businesses are run. I think all companies are looking at how do they run their businesses now? What do we need to change to be, with what today's times are bringing? But also, what do we need to change going forward and that we may keep forever? So I think there's analysis on doing that. But as far as for opportunities, yes, there are definitely people that are taking advantage of the opportunity, whether it's a new business model or new business style to investing. But with food, I know one of the things that we've noticed is, there's three main categories of food. There's fast food, there's fast casual, which is what we're in, and then there's casual dining. Of course, you have casual plus and fine dining. But, right now, obviously, the casual dining segment of the food industry is a lot slower. They have a lot more limitations as far as what they can do with takeout and outside dining. So I think the fast casual industry is seeing some opportunities currently right now where people still want to go out. They still want to have their norm. They still want to be not stuck inside and making food at home like they were doing in the first 6-7 weeks. So going out and being a part of what their new norm is, or getting out of the house and bringing in food that is still a very high quality product. But they can't go out to a casual dining restaurant because maybe they just don't want to sit outside, or it's just not a brand or an experience that they want to have outside. So I definitely think there is an advantage to our brand and our segment of the food industry and the fast casual industry right now, with more and more customers coming to us that haven't come before. Utilizing different platforms with takeout and curbside, third-party deliveries that haven't done that before, or that used to go to casual dining a lot more. And they're saying, you know what, I want to go to these fast casual restaurants. I want to go to Firehouse. I like the quality. I like the food. I like the quantity. I enjoy the atmosphere. And you know what, I can still get a great product and bring it home and still feel part of my norm now. So those are definitely some advantages that we've been seeing currently right now in getting new customers, new transactions, different types of people ordering certain different ways now that are different from before.
Yeah, I mean, some random person on Twitter was like, there should be taco trucks that just go around towns. And I think I think I'm a big fan, no matter how big our organization gets. We've been bigger, we've been smaller. No matter how big our organization gets, I want us to think, operationally in a very tight, lean, small way. And when I think about restaurants, and I'm a big foodie, I love good food. The meatball sub on the Firehouse Subs website looks incredible, by the way. I think small and efficient is such a good way to go. Like, I think trucks, and I think the challenge is like people overthink things. And I think, like, I'm just thinking of, this is complete spitballing an idea here. It's like, if a company goes into the marketplace and has a truck offering 2 sandwiches, I think that would be acceptable to the marketplace. If someone's hungry and I have a truck in front of me and I have 2 options, I think I would buy. Whereas to get the full scope of a selection that you can offer in store, it requires so much time and effort to develop, right? An individual sandwich, like you have to have all the supplies in market. But I think if there were trucks, I think we're going to see a boom of just trucks going around towns, like the food cart, the food truck situation. I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that an
Well,
idea?
I definitely think, bringing food to places is definitely something that we've been seeing. Our catering that we would typically do from a lot of businesses, has changed. There are even opportunities on going out, as you would say, a food truck would go to a location and providing, delivery services to locations for food. So it's very different. You have to think out of the box on how do I get my food to my customers now. So I think those are very good points that you may see, a surge in, if you're talking about a food truck, but how we get our food to our customers is very different.
How do ghost kitchens play into your equation at all? I think that's a fascinating business.
Yeah, we have one location in Hollywood that's it's a cloud kitchen, and it's actually the first one and the only one that we have in our brand, and it's really something that we're testing, and that the test is it's been going really well. The location that we have in the Hollywood area is a cloud kitchen based location, and it's a
what are you looking for there?
So would you take
cloud kitchen?
Yeah, so really you look at saturation of a market, and we're learning as it goes through because a lot of people are really trying to understand what that looks like. So when we take a look at the cloud kitchens is what's around the area, what's the density of the population, what's the penetration of the third party markets that's already in the area, what is available to the customers, taking a look at what the businesses are. So I think when we've looked at the success of the Hollywood market, it's very dense, it's very heavy populated. So the market is saturated with people, it's saturated with businesses, it's saturated with all the third party players that are out there. So it's been an interesting road to learn on how the cloud kitchens work. I think, in the heavy urban markets, they've got some very good opportunities. I know that there have been interest in other markets. I know that some of the platforms that and working with the cloud kitchen concept of where they're thinking about going, but it definitely opens up the opportunity for a business to get open without the heavy construction of a brick and mortar location and the management of all of the employees. And, it can still generate, sales that a third party restaurant would normally generate if it was a normal brick and mortar restaurant. So I think it's too soon to make a call on it. I think we're still learning on how the volume comes in because, really people don't know it, they don't know it exists. So it's whatever platforms they're going on. If they see their restaurant or wherever it's located, then they're going to order from it. So it doesn't matter where it's located. It's just how do you reach your guests? So
yeah, it's a marketing.
Yeah.
It's a market. So I think it's fascinating, right? So for everyone listening, right, a ghost kitchen or a cloud kitchen is a kitchen that doesn't have a physical presence. You can't walk into a store, but you can order on Postmates or Grubhub or Yelp or wherever it is, and you can actually get your food delivered. And what's interesting, I read an interesting article about how like Chuck E. Cheese sold their product under a completely separate brand, their pizza, and called it gourmet, and people were buying Chuck E. Cheese.
Some of the brands have done that where they've developed another brand or another food line and marketed it that way, although being the same product. So that's been interesting. But we're seeing more and more, inside the particular area that we have with Cloud Kitchen, it has a number of different restaurants inside the one large building. So it's an interesting piece of it.
Well, cool. So Jeff, this was super interesting. How can people find you if they want to learn more about franchising franchising Firehouse Subs?
So if they go to firehouseSubs.com on our main website, there's a link that will request more information about franchising. They'll get in touch with our headquarters and we'll get them a disclosure document. And then in the Southern California market, they'll connect them up with me. But just go to our website and then we can give them all the information that they need and help them learn about franchising and our brand.
Jeff Press, Area Representative, Firehouse Subs, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate your time.